Hi everybody, welcome back. So in this video, I am not going to talk about politics at all. And sorry to you guys who were turned off by the last video. I completely understand and not going to be posting political stuff very much in the future. It was just kind of a weird anomaly that there was two videos sort of back to back that was about the sort of media coverage of some of the candidates in one video, and then Richard Stallman and his resignation, I guess, at this point, because that came out after the video was posted. Additionally, I just wanted to make a quick note about that video before I jump into today's topic. I'm not sure, something just weird happened with the video, but hopefully it'll be good. So got a new camera set up. I'm not sure if this is going to be something I keep or not. Anyway, so first thing is I had no idea that video was going to blow up the way that it did. The second thing that I want to mention is I didn't realize that people were going to try and legislate or advocate for some relations with people, underage people, that I think most folks are universally on the same page about as not being acceptable. If you disagree, that's completely fine, but this channel is not the place to sort of advocate for that. And then the last note that I want to make is, or second to last note that I want to make is, when I made the video, I was unaware that there were some previous problematic statements from Mr. Stallman on the subject of relations with minors. I'm trying to keep this fairly PC. So that was sort of the context that I was coming to it from, and I hope that my position was taken as I intended it, which is mainly that I think that we need to extend compassion and forgiveness to people whose ideas are wrong, but have not themselves caused anyone else direct harm, after, of course, trying to convince them that they are in fact wrong. So that's kind of the main thing that I was taking away, is that I don't want to get into the whole topic again. So let's move on from that. So we'll talk about other kinds of much more common workplace mistakes that you can make. One specifically that I was reminded of by a video on a different tech channel, which I'm guessing a lot of you guys are aware of, called The Tech Lead. So the Tech Lead is a gentleman who used to work at Google, has done very well for himself in software development independently, ended up working at Google for a number of years in the role of a tech lead. So he has a really interesting channel, great insights, talks about some interesting things. May not be 100% overlap with this channel, because I know a lot of people here are more on the IT side of the house as opposed to the software development side of the house. But for those of you guys who are looking at more sort of DevOps kind of stuff, it might be a channel that you're interested in looking at. Anyway, he retired a number of years ago, and then for whatever reason, I just kind of check up on his videos occasionally, so I don't follow too closely. But a while ago, he took a job at Facebook. I'm guessing they rolled a truck full of money up to him, and then he decided to take it. So he was working at Facebook, and he was summarily let go for posting videos to YouTube, actually. So I guess they had a problem with him monetizing his videos. But he was let go very suddenly. And one of the things that he mentioned in his video is that he, like a lot of people do, had been using his work laptop for personal use. And he was very sad about the fact that he had some photos of his child, and I guess him and his wife had recently become estranged or separated, I guess. And you know, they had moved to Japan, and obviously, I think any parent would want pictures of their child, but if they were far away, even more so. So he had lost those photos because as soon as a corporation decides to let you go, typically what they will do is on Friday they will have you come in, meet with HR, and then security will escort you back to your office where you can pack up your personal belongings, and then they escort you from the building after removing all of your access to such. So if you have a corporate laptop and you use it for personal use, anything that you have on there, A, is company property, and then B, you can lose access to at any point. And I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, I don't think I'm going to get fired. I don't really think I need to go worry about that. Well, the fact of the matter is I think most people who get fired don't expect it. Now, I'm guessing that some people, they're having performance issues in their job role or whatever it is. But I think most people who get fired, not most people, but a lot of people who get fired, certainly enough of a percentage of people who get fired are not expecting it, that it's worth considering that possibility. So this video is on an easy mistake to make using a corporate laptop for personal use and X2Go. So you can do this a number of different ways. So I like X2Go, but the point that I'm making is that you're going to be using your corporate laptop all the time. So it's inevitable that you're going to be using your corporate laptop for at least some work usage. Now, what I did in the past at a number of jobs is I had a personal laptop, and I would have a desktop machine at work. That's what I would use exclusively when I was at work. I would not bring my laptop home, or I wouldn't bring any work laptop home with me, unless I was on call, or most of the time I would have a work laptop at home, and would just sort of leave it there. And then I would have my desktop at work, my workstation there. So I'd use a personal laptop. I think that's probably one of the best ways to go do it if you can. But for a lot of people, it's really clunky. A lot of offices now will just give you a laptop instead of a desktop machine. Also, I had my own office, so I wasn't worried about the laptop getting stolen or anything like that. But somebody walks by your cubicle and spills their coffee, on your personal laptop. That's you could lose it that way, something like that, right? So for some people, that's not a doable solution, or they have to carry that laptop around. They don't want to carry two. For a lot of people, the answer is use your phone, which is I think a reasonable thing. But the solution that I think is probably the best one is have a machine that you have access to running at home. And if you're on a Windows machine, something like that, you can just go use remote desktop. A lot of people don't like to expose that to the outside world, rightly so. So you could set up a VPN at home. Sometimes that could be kind of overkill for people. So what I found to be is a good solution is to use X2Go. So if you're not familiar with X2Go, X2Go is a fairly straightforward piece of software. Let me go move this over here. Fairly straightforward piece of software that allows you to go ahead and access a Unix machine remotely, and it's very fast. I find it's much more performant than something like a remote desktop. VNC is okay, but it's again not probably the best. X2Go works really nicely, and I think one of its biggest benefits is that it uses SSH as the standard transport protocol. So if you don't want to go through the process of setting up a VPN at home, you can pretty easily set up dynamic DNS. or just write a little script that posts your IP address to your web server or something like that, or do some kind of forwarding that you want to go set up. There's a bunch of different ways to go do this. But the main thing is if you're using SSH, it's a very easy way to get access to a machine because SSH is so universal. So this is the X2Go website. It's really straightforward. Allows you to go ahead and get access to a Unix desktop. So this is obviously running on a Windows machine, and they have a screen where you've got your in this case KDE desktop environment, but it could be whatever. It's basically whatever desktop environment you want to go use. I've used these for my lab environments for some of my my Linux classes that I teach. I've got systems that I spin up on cloud provider, usually doing DigitalOcean these days, but Google Cloud or AWS, and they will have a desktop installed and will expose X2Go, and it's nice and secure because you can go use SSH keys and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's a really nice way to go do it. That allows you to go do things like have access to your personal email. It allows you to go ahead and jump on your home system and order things from Amazon. It allows you to go ahead and do things like access your photos, all that kind of stuff. So the main thing is you can do all of this from home. I think that if you couple that with something like OwnCloud or Nextcloud, so I'm guessing that most people here are familiar with both of those, but if you're not, I'm going to go pull up Nextcloud. So I'm just going to do a quick search for that, and it's nextcloud.com. And Nextcloud is basically, what the name sort of implies. It's a cloud that you can go run. So it's sort of the services that you would expect to be available in a cloud. So you can go ahead and have things like contact synchronization with your phone, which is why I started using it for the, initially. It has, file sharing that you can do over the web. So you can, sort of like a equivalent to, a Google Drive or, a OneDrive or Dropbox, that kind of thing. All of these are cross-platform. Nextcloud has built-in email, and it's, just a lot of really nice stuff. I think there's actually a little demo that we might be able to take a look at here, and we'll see how quickly this works. So, yeah, let's just take a short look around. I'm not a robot. Images with cars. That's a truck. That's a house. Car, and verify. So hopefully that'll work. So let's go create the Nextcloud instance. I'm not sure how long that's gonna take. So we'll ramble on for a couple of seconds, and if this pops up quickly, then we'll be able to go ahead and jump in. Otherwise, I'll let you guys peruse this on your own. So I'm guessing it's going to be demo and demo. Let's see. Oh, I was creating an account. That's why. So yeah, this is basically where you kind of start off. So, it's got things like, file sharing, it's got groupware, it's got, built-in sort of document kind of stuff. You can have, tasks and things like that. So it's a pretty nice little integrated web environment that you can go ahead and use. And then it has all sorts of different like little plugins that you can go ahead and add to it. So if we go over here to settings, we go to apps, we can probably go enable a bunch of different these kind of things. So we can go to, let's say, Office and Text. So here we get the various different ones we can go use. So there's a whole bunch of different things. There's like this, document editing. There's, contacts you can go use for syncing. There's a markdown editor, mind map little thing. It's a pretty, pretty nice thing. And I guess you could probably just use something like, Google or OneDrive if you want to go use a commercial service. But I think it's nice to be able to go run this stuff yourself and have complete ownership of it. And, if you go combine this and then having access to a dedicated machine that you have at home, I think that's a pretty nice way to go do it. And there's a bunch of different ways you can go do this. Something like Nextcloud or OneCloud, you can go spin up in a Docker instance really, really quickly and really easily. Maybe I'll do a video on that in one of the next videos, so we can do more tech stuff like we used to back in the day, before we got political and crazy. But I know it's a really basic thing, and I think a lot of people are going to sort of take this as, well, of course you don't use your work laptop for personal stuff, and that's I think that's what most people think. If it's what most people do, though, I don't know if that's the case. So the advice here is just kind of be aware that that's a thing. It's a problem that you can very easily avoid. And, hopefully you can learn from a lot of other people's mistakes and not repeat the same thing, but still have that kind of functionality. It's always nice to have access to a home machine remotely anyway. Just make sure you keep it up to date, all your patches. Another thing that I've always found, and it's such a small little thing, but you don't need to run SSH on port 22. That's not a legal requirement or anything like that. And it's amazing how much the port scanning just completely drops off if you run it on a different port, right? Additionally, you don't need to have some crazy home server, right? So you can go ahead and just have, a Raspberry Pi 4. 3 is probably too slow for kind of desktop stuff, but a Raspberry Pi 4, not the fastest thing in the world, but just to have a desktop that you can access remotely, that works pretty nicely. So something to think about. Have a, great rest of your week. I hope that you enjoyed the videos going back to our sort of normal, regularly scheduled programming. If you have any ideas or things that you would like to hear me talk about, please let me know. Additionally, I just wanted to give a couple different updates on just kind of housekeeping stuff. The first one is I put a poll up on the channel a little while ago asking if people were interested in a audio only version of this as like a podcast. And it sounded like a few people were. So I think I'm going to, potentially look into setting that up at some point. Kind of busy right now, so don't expect that to be here, within a week or two. It's probably going to be, more like maybe a month or 2 months, something like that, before I get around to doing that. So that's the first thing. What's the second thing? I completely blanked on it. Oh well, I'll have to wait for next time, I guess. The third thing I was going to mention, which is, I don't even know why I really did it, but I put up a Patreon. You literally get absolutely nothing. So if you just want to kick in, a buck or two as sort of a tip jar, you're welcome to do so. But I just figured like, hey, it's there. Why not do it? At some point, I'd like to get a sort of a nicer camera kind of thing, better camera setup probably, so I can do sort of a dual camera thing. And then using a little Panasonic GH3 that I have, which is I think better than my other camera, but this one is really clunky to go use in terms of like having that go directly into the computer. So I might just go buy it myself, but I don't want to waste too much money. Oh, actually, one of the other things is looks like my channel is up for YouTube partner status. So despite the controversial nature of the last video, it did bump me over the 4,000 hours of people viewing the channel, which is kind of insane. Like just to think that 4,000 humans or people have watched 4,000 hours of me ramble about IT stuff is kind of crazy. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sure that that's not going to pay anything, but that's not why I do this. The origin of the channel, for anybody who is not aware, was me going on a rant in the Reddit IT career advice channel, and that kind of catching on a little bit, and me thinking, I should probably give back to people like folks helped me back in the day when I was starting out. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, please click the like button down below. Feel free to subscribe if you think any friends would be interested in IT career advice, or if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and share the video with them, or contact me with a comment down below, suggestions for potential topics, things like that. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.